Cael, did USA Wrestling reach out to you at all for the opening when they had it, when Zeke retired? Or didn't retire, but went to Arizona State?
No, I mean, I spoke with Rich Bender a couple times, just trying to, I think a lot of the, the top programs, I think he was just reaching out to kind of pick their brain on, who to, in what direction and what they should do. So, and I spoke with those guys a few times, but not about the job actually, as far as taking it. So, yeah.
Would something like that ever be in your interest in the future?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a lot different kind of a job. You don't get to spend the whole year with your athletes. It's a couple months a year type of a thing. So, I really enjoy the college scene because you get to recruit your guys and you get to you spend all year with them. And it's a little different. It's a different system, different structure. So it's not. It's really not that appealing at this time. I mean, maybe down the road or something when they get rid of me at Penn State, it'd be an option. But in the meantime, I'm loving what I'm doing here.
You've added a couple new additions to the wrestling club: David, Ed, and Frank Molinaro.
Yes.
What are they going to bring, and how do they take that next step there with your program?
Well, they're all three of them are knocking on the door. They're right there. It's just a matter of making the adjustment to the international style, and you're also competing at a higher level, obviously. So they got to keep getting better. A lot of that's just going to come from competing overseas and I wouldn't say turning things up a notch because they've been working hard. But they're all three of them are good enough to to make the team and to win medals for the United States. So it's just a matter of, we love having their intensity in the room and their confidence. Our college kids come in there and get to spend time with Olympic hopefuls and train with them. So it's a win-win. But David and Ed, I think they showed, and Frank took fourth at the U.S. Open a couple weeks ago, and Ed took third and David took second. They kind of showed that they're right there, and then Varner obviously won. So we've got a great club right now. It's fun. It's fun to be in there. The practices are amazing, the credentials, and there's a lot of national titles training in the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club right now.
How did it come to be that Frank left Rutgers and decided to come back here and train with the NLWC?
Well,
Because he seemed like he was really enjoying the
Yeah.
coaching at Rutgers. You're talking to him out at nationals.
Well, I think he was all in, and he wanted to jump into coaching right out of college, and they provided that opportunity. He was getting a nice paycheck and had the vision of building the program in New Jersey, and I think he just kind of got that itch to compete again. And if you're going to compete, you've got to be surrounded with like-minded, and you got to have training partners that have the same goals and the same talents. And so if he was going to make a legitimate run at 2016, he needed to be back in State College, and he wants to compete and train, and so he's back. Coaching will be there for him for the rest of his life.
Getting ready to add another recruiting class. Obviously, you're still adding to it as it goes along, but Neville's, Nolf, and Nickel. Can you just talk about what they're bringing into the room this summer when they arrive?
Well, those guys are all coming in for summer school, which we're very excited about. So we have about a month and a half until they're here. But it's a great class. I think they bring the attitude that we're looking for, and that's the biggest thing, obviously, in recruiting. There's a lot of talent, and a lot of people work hard, but having that attitude and that confidence is key. So they bring that to the table. We have Shakur Rashid also from Long Island coming in, and we have a great class. Got a late pickup from New Jersey. And I'm not sure if I can talk about him yet, but we're excited. We want kids that want to be at Penn State. We want kids that want to be the best and wrestle in front of sold-out crowds, and have the expectations of being the best. And I think that's what we got.
With the year Rutherford had, what do you want to see out of him in the off season, traveling all around and wrestling in these freestyle tournaments and things like that on his own?
Well, I think Zane just needs to improve a little bit technically. I mean, he's winning matches just because he's a tough kid, and he's obviously very good at what he does, but we just want to kind of expand his skill set so he can score easier points and And those are some of the things he's been working on. I mean, he's just a tough kid. If he finds a way to win. To step in and do what he did as a true freshman, I mean, that made the difference for us, obviously, in winning the national championship this year. So, and that's with a couple months of training, and he's just a remarkable kid with a bright future, and he wants to win the nationals, and he's got 3 more chances here. So he's just got to keep doing what he's been doing, get better, but kind of slow things down a little bit. I mean, he's a guy that's just going to train, but also kind of just improve his skills in different situations, which he's already very good, but we want to take it up a notch.
Taylor and Ruth were such a big part of what you've done the last 4 years. What are the challenges in trying to replace them, or do you even look at it as trying to, quote unquote, replace these guys?
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't look at it like you're trying to replace them. We're trying to build, another championship team, and we want to win more championships, and that just comes from getting good kids that can score a lot of points at the national tournament, kids that love wrestling, that have that same passion, obviously that have that tremendous ability in addition to a great attitude and work ethic and passion for the sport. So, yeah, I mean, we do that every year. That's all we do is, you're planning ahead. I mean, if you're not planning 3 or 4 years ahead, you're years behind. So, we knew these guys were obviously going to graduate, and we're going to miss them. What they accomplished in their time was nothing short of amazing. And but I think we're excited. I am excited about the challenge of continuing on.
James got here, James Franklin, in the middle of your season. I'm wondering how much you've gotten a chance to kind of get to know him since your season's over, and maybe how much of an opportunity these next couple days will be in terms of getting to know him a little bit better.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's obviously a busy man, and we've had a few chances to visit with him. I'm just trying to pick his brain and steal ideas from him, and because he's obviously very good at what he does and what he has done, and it just the passion that he's bringing and the energy and the hustle. It's just it's contagious. I think all the coaches feel it, and I think it's pushing everyone to continue to step their games up. But yeah, I'm looking forward to these next couple of days, just to be able to continue to pick his brain as we move along. I'm sure it gets a little annoying because he's always got people trying to pick his brain and steal his time, but these next 3 days will be a good opportunity for me.
The guys who ended the year a little bit beat up, I know Nico was hurt in that last match, and Lawson was obviously not able to go, and Gingrich too. How are those guys doing health-wise? And a second part of that, have you made a decision on what you'll do with Nico next year, being that you guys kind of have a logjam there at the lighter weights?
No final decisions have been made. We're gonna figure that out as we get closer to the season, but we just want the guys to keep making progress and getting better. Yeah, we had our guys were sort of beat up this year. Lawson's getting back into it. Gingrich is just getting back into it, from his injury at the Nationals. McIntosh hasn't actually been on the mats yet. He had a minor surgery right after the Nationals with his elbow, and more of a cleanup deal.
That's the same one he was wearing the sleeve on.
Yeah, but he's ready to go now, and Dylan Alton had surgery, so it was actually kind of a rough year as far as injuries are concerned. So we got to get everybody back, and then get them to 100%. And we'll start rolling here again.
How about Andrew? Did he have the other?
Andrew had his surgery before the Big Ten tournament, so
okay.
Yeah.
Was Dylan's shoulder again, or?
It was the other shoulder, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We knew they had 2 bad shoulders, last year, but you can only really do one at a time, Otherwise, life gets very tricky. So they picked the worst one, and we got the other one as soon as they could. So.
How do you see them approaching this final season? I mean, their career's gone up and down, injuries. What are you seeing from them in this offseason, and what do you kind of hope to expect from them going into their last year?
Well, we're counting on them, obviously. I mean, we need them big time. They're both seniors. They're both experienced. Yeah, the last 2 years they've both been injured with, shoulders are a big deal in any sport, but in wrestling, with the pulling and the pushing and the positions that you get extended in, it's shoulders make a big difference. So we just want to get them back to full speed, and when they're full speed, they're pretty remarkable at what they do. So You know, they haven't had that opportunity, and I know it's been frustrating for them. And it's tough to watch guys compete when they're not 100%, but now, hopefully, they can get back to full speed. I mean, that's what we're pushing for. If they're full speed, they're contenders, so, and we need them.
Any plans to use the Bryce Jordan Center again this coming season?
We will look at that here soon. I mean, we haven't made any final decisions on that, but it went very well last year, and we'll probably do the same thing. Our demand was real high last year with Ed and David being seniors, and that class that we had and the team that we had. So, we got to decide if it's the right thing for the program. But we want to give everyone a chance to watch the team, because we're going to be pretty darn good next year also.
Good time for one more, guys.
You always talk about your depth, Cael. And some of the young guys that maybe we should be looking out for. I mean, obviously we're looking for replacements at 65 and 84. Who are some of the young guys that we should be kind of have an eye out for going into this thing?
Well, I think Matt McCutcheon's a kid who has a great attitude and is going to be a guy that's just a goer, a brawler, and makes conditioning a factor for him in matches. Also, just a tough kid that loves wrestling. He's in the room every day, still is. He kind of pops out as a guy that has the ability to step in there right away. Well, he has a redshirt year. This next class, I think will really be a great. It'll give us a great insight into the future here. We have real high hopes for Jason Nolf and Nichols and Nevels and Rashid and this group. So that I don't know if we're going to wrestle anybody. We could wrestle Rashid right away. He's going to be coming for summer school, and if he's ready to go at 65, we're going to wrestle our best guy at 65. So if that's him, he'll be ready to roll.
Thanks,
All right, thanks.
Thanks, guys.